Hey, welcome, guys. It's time to start Bollox Talks and Tangents. I got stuff scattered all over my table. I'm not sure what you can see and what you can't see. Blake, what are you doing? Oh, Lenny over here.
I'm sharing the show.
We can see the top of Lenny's head.
I'm sharing the show.
Yeah, we're all trying to share the show. Appreciate you guys. We got a great show for you. If you didn't catch last week's show, Blake's going to make sure it hits the app and on YouTube, but it was an amazing show, and he's going to get karate chopped in the throat after the show because that was a wonderful show.
Absolutely one of the best. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Love Davey Hartzell.
But no, we got Blake in the booth hitting all the buttons over there. And Lenny, cheers, sir.
L'chaim.
What'd you call me?
Chindan.
Oh, okay. You got something stuck in your...
18. You could go L'chaim for 18, or you could go Chindan for 100 years.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever that means.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I don't speak French.
Santé. I just watched a Hallmark French movie. Carry on, please. Please carry on.
We're doing doctors that have changed the world. Some of them good and some of them bad. But all of these have changed the world in a lot of different ways. We have a little bit of crossover in our list. And I probably have written down more than I've ever written down before over here. I mean, look.
That's because your printer was broken.
My printer was broke, so I had to use this as my form. And I'm sharing the show right now, so I want you to tell the nice people about St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits, and tell them what we're drinking tonight.
We're drinking the port finished one tonight in a port barrel. St. Augustine Distillery. One of the best places in St. Augustine. We were on the map, but they certainly reinforced our place in the lexicon of spirits, because you've got the distillery that makes some great bourbons. They're even teaching bourbon classes, mixology classes, pairing classes, and they also have gin, vodka, rum. Fabulous gift shop, great tours, free tours. The classes cost a little bit of money, but the tours are worth it. And the tours come with tastings. You're not going to go wrong there. And then Citygate Spirits, their sister property, which is down on Sponsor Row over by the Bayfront, has got so many flavors of flavored whiskeys and moonshine that you're not going to go wrong. I mean, everything from cookie dough to creamsicle to my favorite, the peach, all great stuff. And you'll see people walking around St. George Street with these beautiful boxes of the beverages they have purchased. You're not going to go wrong with them.
Speaking of beautiful boxes.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, they're well made.
Absolutely. It's a sturdy box.
I use them for other things. And you see, I have 3 boxes over here of just that.
So they will not be recycled.
Speaking of Sponsor Row, we have Meehan's Irish Pub. Reggie got to talk to him this week. Just a wonderful guy. Appreciate him being involved in our show and just what he does for the community overall, and his staff. Great food. And it sounds funny saying, oh, it's an Irish pub, it's a barbecue. I'm telling you, this is high quality food. The chef there is as good as any chef in town, and we have some great chefs.
Chef Chris had something. He did a dish the other day that was a real melange, shall we say? Melange, a mixture of flavors.
Okay.
He did a pasta in a French onion soup sauce with smoked Gouda as the basis of the dish, and on top of that, he put a marinated flat iron steak. It looked outstanding. Wow, oh my goodness,
sounds amazing. All right, Abare, Kresge and Associates, they called me this week, said I got to get some paperwork in. I'll get it to you, I swear, Billy. But they are the best in town, best CPAs in town. They handle all the businesses that we do. They are the representatives of our Bollox Talks and Tangents show.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you guys. And if you have any accounting needs, if you think you can do your taxes better, you can't. These guys know everything there is to know out there, and those are constantly changing laws. All right, talking about community leaders, I don't know if there's a better community leader than Cindy over at the St. Augustine Pirate Museum. They have an amazing museum. Went there just last week. I loved it. I could have stayed there another 2 hours. The people with me were wanting to move along.
Getting a little antsy?
Yeah, wanting to get along because I read really slow. Dyslexia is not my friend. Yeah. But I just absolutely love being in there. And like I said, it's just so well done in a lot of different ways.
And they're constantly adding, they're constantly changing, they're constantly updating. And if you want to know where pirates got hanged, there's a whole list of when the pirates got off.
When they met their demise.
And the pirate dock, yeah.
Kaiser's Deli and Market.
What'd you have for lunch today?
I had the Bollox with pastrami. I threw in a little bit of so it was turkey pastrami pressed. And I threw in some green peppers and some hot peppers, and it was pretty amazing.
I did the same thing, but in lieu of the peppers, I just used the daddle Russian dressing that goes on the daddle Reuben, and that was brilliant. Press that up, melt a little of the hearty Swiss cheese in there. As a matter of fact, I have half for dinner when I get home. I'm looking forward to it. I did. You asked, yeah.
I was asking you. Yeah. You didn't finish yours off.
Working on the girlish figure of mine.
Blake also.
I also had the box as well with the pastrami.
Yeah. So how was your sandwich?
It was good.
It was good.
Really good.
Because he usually goes with the white streak.
I know.
So he went out. He went outside his comfort zone. Will that one go in the rotation for you?
You like that pastrami?
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely say so. But also, Lenny, but also, what's Kaiser's smoked chicken special at there at Kaiser's?
I don't know if he was doing it today, but he's working on his smoked chicken Caesar wrap.
Ooh, sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
You're doing a tutorial on Caesar dressing and coleslaw next week.
Okay,
awesome.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, Coquina Coast Realty. I actually plugged it on Mike's show over there. But if you have any residential needs, any commercial needs, anything in real estate, give me a call at 904-669-7901. If you think it's the right time or the wrong time, I will talk you through those processes. It's a zero pressure real estate. And it's your decision. It's not your realtor's decision to tell you.
Right. But it's it's going to be a challenge because there's more people think it's a better time to sell a house than it is to buy a house, as we've confirmed earlier today.
According to the percentages.
Right. But what do they know?
Right. Exactly. Anastasia Miniature Golf. You actually went
played
by there.
Played there Monday night. Yeah. My niece, my wife, and we played it. And it fits into you and I are very infatuated with pirates, I will say.
Yes.
And that is the pirate Whitebird is over there. His pirate ship is there, and each hole has a little poem or a limerick involving pirate Whitebird and Pelican Pete, who they're looking for too. Yeah. So there's a each hole
there's a story
and a hint on how to play the hole too. They don't leave you hanging out there.
Okay.
They give you a hint on how to help it.
Caddy.
Yeah, well, pretty close.
Yeah.
So it was very nice, very good. They've got ice cream novelties. They've got a freezer chock full of ice cream sandwiches, Nutty Buddies, cones, things of that nature, and a big patio in the back if you want to have a party or an event there. Plenty of on-site parking.
Yeah, the event space is really amazing. They have that there. You want to throw a birthday party at Putt Putt. Kids or adults. Yep. They'll help you with a fundraiser if you want to do a fundraiser there. So we might want to do a Bollox fundraiser.
I think we should.
So
to raise funds for us, or we're going to give it away. We're going to give it to good people. We'll give it away. How about Home Again St. Augustine? Why don't we do one for that?
Home Again or autism or whatever.
All the above.
There's a lot. There's a lot of great charities. The Ark of St. John's.
We can do more than one.
Yes, we can. So, all right, Cheshire's Customs and Collisions. These guys are also wonderful community leaders. They have the best, amazing paint booth. Your car goes into the booth, then it drives right into the dryer there. I mean, It's impressive, and it's all computerized, and everything's in there. High-tech painting. It's not just your neighbor with a cigarette hanging out his mouth.
If I ask them nice, will they do a spray tan?
These guys, well, it might not come off if these guys do it because you're not going to peel on this one. No. So, all right, let's get into the show.
Sure.
It's time to go straight into word origins or phrases.
Yeah.
So what was your first word origin or phrase?
Well, because we're doing doctors today, everybody needs to perk up a little bit with a shot in the arm. So
shot in the arm.
Mine is a shot in the arm, which is something that has a sudden positive effect on something. It was noted in 1916 in the Lewiston Evening Journal that it was, after World War I, it was the vets give our politics a shot in the arm, and politicians have learned that and realized it.
Yeah.
So that was a shot in the arm, and it could be anything. It could be it could be a kickstart. It's new blood. it's a lot of different things, but a shot in the arm is always very positive. It's to boost either morale or to get you started on something good. And I figured, if we're going to talk about, the guy invented the vaccine or things of that nature, we could use a big shot in the arm.
Mm-hmm. No, everyone could always use a good shot in the arm. Mm-hmm. I think I could use a shot right now.
There you go.
You want to do a shot with me?
Absolutely.
We're just going to sip it.
Absolutely. But I'm not going to waste it on my arm.
All right. So, Lenny, have you ever been sick as a dog?
I have.
Blake, have you ever been
fortunately not often.
Have you ever been sick as a dog?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I remember one time after I was bitten by a tick. I was out of school for like 4 days in like '08.
Yeah. So
do you remember that?
It was. I do. You were sick as a dog, and you needed a shot in the arm to get you back.
See?
But as sick as a dog, and I wanted to know. I didn't know where the phrase came from, so it was kind of dark.
Okay.
Are you shocked by that?
Between you and I, never.
So it was first used in like 1705, and it was also used for rats, cats, and other animals, because domestic animals didn't really live inside.
Not that, no.
No, it wasn't a common thing, and it comes out of England,
okay,
and in the London area, and plague, and there weren't veterinarians. Really, around that time, no. There weren't. I mean, the doctor took care of your horse or something like that. Right. But dogs just, unfortunately, weren't family members as much as they are today.
Correct. Not sleeping in the bed with you.
Yeah. And Blue,
unless it was really cold.
Blue's always sleeping with us.
Yeah.
She picks a family member, and that's who she's with, and she's always with us. But a lot of times, these dogs were strays, and they would get sick. And then they would just lay down in the street, and they would unfortunately pass away. And when you got sick and you weren't feeling good, you were as sick as a dog, we're going to put you in the street. And
that's cold.
It kind of went like that. And that's where it came from. In 1705 was the first time it was written as a term. In 1705 in England, sick as a dog. And it was because when dogs got sick, they laid down in the street, and that's when they saw their demise.
Wow.
So, very dark.
Not good. Yeah,
very dark.
Not good.
Hey, let's go to a happy doctor.
Don't want to be that sick. Okay. Want to start with Edward Jenner?
You want to do happy doctors? You want to do sad doctors? We'll mix them all in.
Here we go.
How many doctors do you have over there? I got 1, 2, 3,
I got
4, 5, 6,
1, 2,
7,
3,
8. I got 8
4,
doctors over here.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Overachiever.
Yeah,
You had to win your nerd status.
I'm a nerd. I'm telling you, you know.
So, all right. So you want to go with Jenner? All right.
Yeah, I think we can, just because that helps the shot in the arm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very interesting. Edward Jenner, who was born in 1749 and died in 1823, he was 73 years old. He was British. This is the guy that figured out how to create inoculations, and he's the father of the vaccine.
Yes. And on May 14th, in, 1796. Did I nail that? It was the first
vaccine. Yes, you did. That is absolutely correct.
That was the first inoculation.
On young James Phipps. Young 8-year-old James Phipps.
Yeah, Phipps.
He was British. Phipps.
Yep.
And it was interesting, too, because he realized that the milkmaids were not suffering from smallpox because they had been exposed to cowpox.
Okay.
Completely different than smallpox, apparently. It's, a bovine disease, but they would get pustules or little lesions or sores or blisters that would pop. And apparently the cowpox gave them an immunity to smallpox.
Okay.
So he realized this and took a nail or took a pin of some nature and punctured a milkmaiden's cowpox blister and punctured the James Fitch, the 8-year-old boy, with it, and he recovered from and was immune to smallpox. And from there, smallpox became a preventable disease. I don't know about curable at the time, but a preventable disease. Mm-hmm. And as of 1977, smallpox has been eradicated. There were no cases of smallpox after 1977. Now, doesn't mean that some evil government doesn't have a bioweapon of smallpox waiting to be unleashed on the unsuspecting public. Oh, we're going dark again, but yeah. So he's perceived to be the father of vaccines.
All right. So I'm going to move forward 20 years or so.
Okay.
All right. I have one good Joseph and one bad Joseph. All right.
Well, the bad Joseph was later.
The bad Joseph was World War II.
Right.
All right. The good Joseph was Joseph Lister.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
sure.
Joseph Lister observed what Louis Pasteur had done with pasteurization and fermentation and those things. And Joseph Lister is the one who first started using sterilization
Right.
and
Antiseptics.
Antiseptics
Yeah.
and created antiseptics throughout his entire career. Before then, if you got it washed after surgery, you were doing good.
Right. Please wash your hands.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean,
Yeah.
so many people were dying. Operation was a success. Patient died. They were dying of gangrene or sepsis of those types.
Right.
And after he
An
started
infection,
publishing all his works, it became more nationally known about sterilization. And so Joseph Lister, there's no telling how many people's lives he changed from just creating sterilization in the workplace. So, all right, bad
Yeah.
Joseph.
Ooh, very, very, very bad Joseph.
This is probably the darkest doctor on my list.
And we talked about him, and I said I was going to do him, and then I backed off. So go right ahead.
All right, and you need to say his last name for me.
Mengele.
Mengele.
Yeah.
Because I want to always say Mengele.
No,
Mengele. So Joseph Mengele.
Right now,
he's
17 elderly Jewish people just shivered,
I know. I apologize.
and
That's what-
justifiably so.
and I apologize even bringing this up, but to me, he was one of the darkest. There's other really dark doctors out there, but this
They did
doctor,
experimentation and stuff, but he was bad.
This doctor probably killed more people than any other doctor in the history of the practice of being a doctor. Can you think of anyone else?
No, but I don't know that. I mean, he wasn't responsible for Xylon gas or any of that other stuff. He was just an experimental physician who was just trying to. I mean, he had people that were, according to him, not real people, which is the horror of half of that to begin with.
He used humans as guinea
let's
pigs.
start. Joseph Mengele was a Nazi.
The angel of death.
Correct. Right.
He was a Nazi. He
Right.
joined the Nazi party in
Right.
37 or 38, somewhere around there.
Right.
He was assigned to Auschwitz, and he did human experiments.
Right.
His entire time there, trying to perfect the human race. In
Correcting
his opinion.
the Ubermensch, the Superman.
The worst story about him is they never caught him.
Right. Right.
All right. They didn't find out where he was until he died in 1979. He died. He had a stroke in 1979. I believe he was in his 70s or 80s when he had the stroke swimming at a resort in Brazil.
Huh? Was he that young? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this man was horrible. He really was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I got news for you. He was buoyed by the entire Nazi apparatus because they kept feeding him, concentration camp incarcerees. I don't know if that's a word, but it makes sense. To be his medical guinea pigs, and this guy was. I mean, he had no qualms about anything. He would try. I mean, the experiments that he was doing were just horrific, but he didn't think that he was working on people, and that's the horrible part. And he was supported by the Nazi regime, and it's just
he was funded and supported
Yeah.
entirely and
Yeah.
encouraged.
Yes, oh yeah,
Encouraged by it. All right, so I gave you a good Joseph and a bad Joseph.
Okay.
All right. Do you think the good Joseph saved more lives than the bad Joseph took away?
Got to remember don't get old. The good Joseph.
Lister.
Yeah, absolutely. With antiseptic and sanitation, and yes, absolutely.
And the reason I ask that
Yeah,
is because I think good Joseph way overwhelms bad Joseph, and good always wins.
True. I got news for you. Edward Jenner, the guy who created the smallpox vaccination, was credited with saving 530 million lives because of what he was able to figure out. Now it's obviously cumulative over the course of time. Wow. Through 530 million people were saved because of the smallpox vaccine.
Okay.
Now it's interesting because I'm doing more research on, and I looked for mine, and I'm furry, so I couldn't see and I don't think I have one, but I certainly remember my mother had one, my father one. Older people, the little round scar on your arm on your left arm.
Here's the thing: they stopped giving it in between my sister and myself.
Okay.
So my sister has it, but I don't have one.
How old's your sister? How much older?
My sister's 2.5 years older than me.
Okay.
So it was that quick. She was born in December of 64.
Right.
I was born in June of 67. She has it. I don't.
And
it was always on your left arm.
Correct.
And all my family members have it. I don't think my father has it, but I don't think pig farmers needed it.
Right.
Pig farm immunity is a real thing.
Ooh, I'm sure.
But everyone else in my family had that on their left arm, the little circle.
Yeah.
And Blake, you even know what we're talking about, the scar that we're talking about?
And I looked for mine, but with all this hair, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Blake, you don't have it. You didn't get a smallpox vaccination.
Oh.
So, in older people, they usually have a
it's very
circle.
noticeable, yeah.
And Barbara Jean and Bobby, if you're out there and you have it,
right.
let us know if you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And usually people our age understand what we're talking about.
Correct.
Millennials and zillennials and what generation are you?
The messed up ones.
The messed up ones. Okay.
What are you? Are you a zillennial?
I think Gen Z.
Gen Z. Okay.
I can't keep them straight.
They don't even know what this thing is that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
So we lost a lot of people just on that conversation. But everyone 2 years older than me has a little circle on their left shoulder.
Yep.
So all my cousins had it. Yeah. So my cousins younger than me didn't have it.
I'm going to have to shave the hair on my arm to see if I have one because I don't think that I do for some reason. And I'm sure I had the vaccine because I was born in 58.
You outgrew your own scar.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I know my sugar cube was the polio vaccine. Lined up in the gym in elementary school, in central school. Walked into the gym. You got in line. They gave you a sugar cube. Okay, fine. You popped it down. It had a drop on it.
Were you of the age where they had the gun?
No. Nope.
And it hurt sugar like cube. A son of a gun.
Nope.
Oh my god.
Got mine on a sugar cube for the polio vaccine. Absolutely.
They used to give a gun that it would shoot in and shoot out of you. And it was so painful.
The original smallpox vaccine was like 12 or 15 pricks. They'd keep bang, 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 bang. So I don't know if that's... And then what happened was the vaccine would then cause the disease to be in you, and then your immune system would fight it, and it would cause a blister.
It gave you a little bit,
right?
And then you
and then it would blister, and that blister, when the scab came off, is where you have that scar.
Where the scar.
Yeah.
And Barbara Jean has it. Kathy says her older siblings had it, but she did not have it. So, and Kathy and I are close to the same age, so that completely makes sense. Okay. So, Kathy, I know you're younger than me. I didn't mean to push in my category. All right. Talking about people that save lives, and the person on my list, and I think Lister's up there. I think Jenner
for sure, yeah.
But I think this guy is number one on my list. All right, and that's Sir Alexander Fleming.
Yeah, penicillin, baby.
Okay.
Yeah,
penicillin. And not just penicillin, but antiseptics and antibiotics all together. I believe antibiotics have saved more lives than probably any other drugs that are out there. And Sir Alexander Fleming stumbled across this.
Right, it was purely accidental.
In 1928.
But it was his observational skills that made it work. Because he realized he saw something and he questioned it and he pursued it. It was he had his petri dish. There was a sample in that, and I don't remember. I just read it, but I don't remember what it was a sample of. But something spilled into it, and all of a sudden there was a halo, for argument's sake, around the sample that was in the middle, and then where it was supposed to be an infectious situation.
He was doing a bacterial. He was doing a bacterial study,
and there was a whole clear halo around it that was bacteria free.
Yeah,
and he said, "Well, there's something here."
Yeah, that was fighting against everything that was the bad. The good one again. That's what I'm saying. Good wins.
Right. But we're at a tipping point, however, because there's super bugs out there now that are antibiotic adverse or immune, because there's been such a knee-jerk reaction to if you're sick, if you've got a bacterial infection or whatever it is, to prescribe antibiotics. And now there are, because, diseases and viruses adapt probably a lot better than we do necessarily. And they've adapted to the fact that there are superbugs, as they're called, that antibiotics can't stop. There's some strep and staph and things, MRSA, things of that nature that are antibiotic resistant, and that's very, very frightening nowadays.
Well, and I know they're blending some steroids with the antibiotics to kind of give it that extra kick.
Okay, good.
So I know that's out there. Bobby said that he did get
Smallpox?
the
the
scar,
polio.
but it's on his right arm, and he thinks it's when he went to Europe with his dad for the Air Force. So
It's interesting because everybody, because everything you read is the left arm. Hey, Bobby,
and he's also saying the sugar
cube, yeah,
sugar
yeah,
cube's
yeah.
the way he got it.
Absolutely.
And now it's just one drop.
right,
You know?
absolutely.
And it's almost eradicated. Rotary, as a Rotarian, that's one of the proudest things about being a Rotarian is Rotary took on early on
Polio?
the polio as its mission to eliminate it. And there's less than 100 cases in the entire world right now, and it's all one little drop.
And people, and there was a couple of cases that kicked up in the last, I'd say 6 months to a year. There have been cases of polio percolating again, and it's kind of scaring people because, this is like smallpox. It was done. If this stuff comes back into today's environment, it's going to be scary.
Well, and did you have any family members that had polio?
No.
All right.
No, fortunately,
I
no.
had my grandmother's best friend had polio as a child, and she always walked with a limp, and
She had braces?
No, she had a cane, and she was able to walk. And Betty was a wonderful, she was my grandmother's best friend, and they were thick as thieves. But the explanation of her having to go to the Iron Lung Center, which people don't. I mean, there used to be full-on centers.
Yeah.
And it'd be like in a strip mall now or something.
Sort of like a dialysis center today.
Or
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
like that today. And you had to sit in this iron lung, and they just had to pump everything into
breathes for you.
And the most famous polio survivor of all is the president.
FDR.
Yeah, that was president longer than any other president.
Right, exactly.
And he got it as an adult.
Yeah.
So Salk, I didn't have Salk on my list, but
Right.
that was
Salk and Sabin, yeah.
that was a huge thing.
Yeah, my mother, when I was
But
younger.
I think Sir Alexander Fleming and the penicillin, in my opinion, has saved more lives than any other discovery. I think discovery is probably the best way to put that.
Sure. I mean, it was an accidental discovery, but
it's not an invention, but
No.
because it was there in front of him.
Right.
But his observational skills, like you said, created what now has saved hundreds of millions of
Right.
people.
Can you imagine if he looked at that and said, "This is strange," and threw it away?
Yeah.
Where would we be today?
Yeah. Look, this one's ruined.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, you got to give him points for saying this is interesting and pursuing it for sure. My mother, the saint, and I am far from a saint, but my mother is. My mother was absolutely a saint.
I have no saints in my life.
Oh no, my mother
Actually,
is
me and
saintly.
Blake are saints. We're Flagler saints.
Oh, that's we used to drink the saint. Now we're drinking the port.
Well, we got the
okay.
saint.
Well, that could be next week or the week after.
Nope, that's the cherry one.
Well,
It's that type of bottle.
right. My mother, who did a tremendous amount of volunteer work, she was a pink lady in the hospital. She was an educator. She taught remedial reading. She did career. I mean, there was nothing that my mother wouldn't do to help people. And as an educator, she was just, head and shoulders above, the entire profession. But my mother also volunteered to pattern the son of a friend of hers, and the child had polio. And they would go in there, and there were volunteers that would come in, and it was called patterning. And they would go in, and they would move the arms and the legs of this child to help
To avoid the atrophy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and my mother would do that, twice a week. For I think it was for I want to say it was Norma Phillips's child. I think and it was that when your parents were close, it was Aunt Norma who I could and what man, she was a hoot, man. She could have been in the Golden Girls. She was a piece of
Sophia.
work.
She could have been Sophia.
Yep. This one was a take note.
Okay, which Golden Girl are you?
You know what? And I can't answer that because Well, who's the slutty one? Was that,
That's
Betty
Blanche.
White?
That's Blanche.
I don't know. Because you keep asking Golden Globe questions at trivia, and we never get them right because I never watched the Golden Globe.
You never watched the Golden Girls?
I never watched the Golden Globes.
Golden Girls.
Neither them. I like Golden Globes.
Golden Globes are terrible.
Well,
Golden Girls amazing.
It depends on how well tan they are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, dear.
Yeah.
I'm going to hell. I'm getting.
You are.
I'm getting beat up at home.
You are getting.
Blake, you can bleak that out before we put it on.
Blake,
Yeah, thanks.
We're live, pal.
I need.
Yeah, but she's not watching it live, fortunately.
Blake, we're gonna need a new co-host next week.
No, yeah,
Dang it.
Yeah. Wife may be hurting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves me. I feed her well.
you.
I do.
She can't survive on her own.
She made her own tuna fish.
You're actually a good chef.
She made her own tuna fish tonight, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Honey, what are you having for dinner Thursday? I'm working. I'll make tuna. Okay.
All right. But so I'm a Blanche.
Okay.
She owned the house. She was the landlord. Either
right.
you liked her or you hated her. I'm kind of a 50-50 guy. There is no in between with me. There's no like, oh, he's kind of okay. You either like me or
Right.
you hate me.
Right.
And I'm completely okay with it.
Right.
Because I'm going to be who I'm going to be. I'm going to be unapologetic with what I do and how I live my life. And that's just who I am. And, that's why I don't think I can make it as a politician.
Yeah. Well.
You know what I mean? I'm going to give 50-50. If it's a three-way race, I'm winning.
Right.
If it's a two-way race, I'm in trouble.
No, I was very good in public office because I believed in the public good. I'm not a politician that I was not when I was elected and reelected. I was not in it for the power or the glory. It was to what I could accomplish in my hometown, in my community of the city of Long Beach. And that was my entire reason for doing it. So my goal was what was the betterment outside of politics, which actually cost me one of my dearest friends because I didn't make a political decision. I meant a municipal governmental decision that was best for the community.
Yeah.
And I lost my best friend over that because he was a political animal. And I think that was his problem, not mine.
No,
because I was working for the betterment of the community as large.
And I can tell you this: there was, and I used to have a staff that was a very large staff. I had over 300 employees at one point. And I'm very stubborn in a lot of ways. But anybody who ever worked for me, if they came to me, they knew they had to have a strong argument. And if their argument was strong enough, then I would go with them.
Right.
And I think that's if I ever do serve or if I ever will serve, I think I'll have that same situation where I'm gonna go with my beliefs first.
Correct.
But if you can prove to me that my beliefs are wrong, then I'll go with yours. And sometimes the public good does do that. I won't always and this is why I don't think I'd be a good politician, because I don't believe the masses are always right.
They don't have the information.
They don't have the information.
Correct. They don't have the
information at the level that you're making that decision at.
Correct.
So I think that's when it's hard being a politician, because the masses read the headlines. The decision makers have to know the details.
It's hard to explain tough love to the public and get reelected.
Yeah.
But if you're true to your conviction and it's borne out by being the right decision, I have faith in the public that they'll do the right thing, though the contemporary environment is disincentivizing that to a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yep.
Because it's teams instead of what's the best for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
No, I agree 100%.
So I'm going to move on to my next one because of what we just talked about.
Well, let me zoom through these,
okay,
these
go ahead.
sponsors because
please.
We're about at that halfway
yes,
point.
Yes, please.
And we usually forget and we have
sometimes
to throw it in.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Cheshire's Custom and Collisions. Give these guys a call. Chris Cheshire over there does an amazing job.
Ask him about the spray tan.
They have the best paint center in town. Get over there. If you have a dinged up car, they'll take care of you right away. Anastasia Miniature Golf. You played there just last week. The Pirate Museum.
I got a hole in one.
How are the new carpets?
They're good.
Okay.
There's some red ones. There's a black. There's a black hole. And it has nothing to do with Calcutta.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some red ones. A couple of green ones. There's a black one. It's nice. You got stairs. You get a little cardio while you're doing it because you got to go upstairs, downstairs. And there's some very clever holes there. There really are. It was fun. It was a fun night. It was a beautiful night. Yep. Busy place. There are a lot of people there. I was very pleased to see that. Very pleased to see that.
Coquina Coast Realty, give me a call, 904-669-7901. Market's a little up and down. Give me a call. We'll talk through it.
Man's good at what he does.
All right. Kaiser's Deli and Market.
Man's also good at what he does.
We all three had lunch there today.
Yep.
Amazing sandwich. Try the Bollox. Tell them to add a little pastrami in there. You're going to love it.
So good.
Press and add the pastrami. The Bollox, best sandwich on that meal. But they got amazing sandwiches.
If you're a pastrami
you like
fan,
the Reuben,
the Dattel Reuben, just a straight pastrami sandwich, it's all good. It really is. All Boar's Head products.
Yeah.
You know, our friend Kevin was there, who's our Boar's Head rep, was in today.
The El Tiante is amazing.
Oh,
yeah. So
what a wonderful man he is. You know what a privilege it was to meet Louis Tiant in person.
yeah.
I mean, that's just first of all, he's
a
downright
legend.
and he's downright adorable now.
He's a legend.
He's just adorable. But man, this was a freaking major league
All-star.
fabulous pitcher.
I think
Very cool.
I think he was one of the top 5 pitchers of the 1970s, and just
He was a gamer.
an amazing human being.
Yep.
And when we went to Fenway, we made sure we went and saw him.
Yeah, I saw the pictures,
And Blake, what did he do for us?
So obviously he gave us so he signed a couple of autographs for us, but what else? I don't remember off the top of my head.
He bought our lunch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He bought our lunch. Here's a guy who's there, a superstar,
Right.
And we're there like just saying hi, because Dan, his son who lives here in town, wonderful
Dan's a
guy,
great guy.
I'll
Great
see you
guy.
at 10:30, by the way, Dan. But just a wonderful human being, and his wife's beautiful. It's just a beautiful,
Absolutely, right.
beautiful family. And he didn't. He made us feel special. There was people waiting in line. He's like, no, stay. He wanted to talk to us even more, and it just made us. It was just a special moment. I mean, and
He's
just a great,
just a superstar.
and here he is. These guys that are, because in Red Sox world, he's a legend.
Absolutely.
So he's
Absolutely.
a legend in my
Yep,
mind. But
yep,
I'm not
yep.
a Red Sox fan. But he's still
No,
a
but
legend to me.
you're a baseball player and a baseball fan. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you're into the Cincinnati Reds, and
Greatest World Series of all time, by the way.
well, the Big Red Machine.
Yeah, and guess who won Game 1? Louis Tiant
There you go.
for the Red Sox. He
But,
crushed the Reds.
But your shortstop right now is the fastest guy on turf.
He's an animal.
Oh, my goodness.
Ellie De Cruz.
Yeah,
And I'm telling
Cruz,
you,
yeah,
I don't
sure.
think there's anybody more fun to
Right.
watch in baseball right now than
Right,
Ellie De
right.
Cruz. I'm not going to say he's the greatest player in baseball.
No, but he's
I'm telling you
exciting.
right now, he's the most exciting guy in Major League Baseball to watch.
See, but what I appreciate about you is you're a baseball player and a baseball cognoscity. You know the game. You appreciate it. But even though you're a Reds fan, Cincinnati Reds fan, you also appreciate baseball at the level. So you can appreciate a gentleman of Louis Tiant's stature. You can appreciate the game. The game is it's a great game.
Here's the thing. I love the game of baseball more than I love the Cincinnati Reds.
See,
All right?
and I respect that very much.
Okay.
Absolutely.
There's very few things I love more than I love the Cincinnati Reds.
Wow.
So it's my children.
I was gonna say, Blake, where are you right now?
My best girls in my life.
Yep.
My family. Then it comes baseball, and then the Cincinnati Reds, and it's in that order. And I don't know if people can put that
Respect.
I don't know if people can put their list in order, but that's where I'm at with. I love the game of baseball, and I love the purity of baseball. And I didn't think I was going to love the pitch timer, but I think it's possibly could save the game
It's funny
because
you
it's
mention
so much better to watch now with the pitch timer on it.
And I spoke to a buddy of mine who we went to Vegas to see Dead and Company. One of my dearest friends in the world, if not my most best friend in the world, who I met the first day we were in college together, and we've been friends for 45 years now, 44. And more than that, because I graduated in 80. So anyway, I can't do the math. Blake, do math. But he went to the Padres game night before last.
Okay.
And I spoke to him the day after. And he said, I have to tell you, the pitch clock is the best thing that ever
It's
happened.
wonderful. It makes it great to watch live.
And the game moves.
And even, because if you're not a baseball fan, the one thing they say is it's boring and it doesn't go. And I'm telling you, the pitch clock to me is just absolutely amazing.
Well, I remember. I mean, when I used to watch a lot of baseball, and games were at 2 hours, and 2 hours and 40 minutes. They started achieving 2 hours 50 minutes. Then they started getting to 3:15, 3:20, and they became onerous.
Well, I can tell you this: playing behind a guy who's a human rain delay, which is, and if you don't know what a human rain delay is in baseball, it's either the guy like a Nomar who's, which by the way, he would have to change his entire routine now. And talk about Nomar Garciaparra.
Yeah.
But if you had a pitcher who steps off, checks everything, touches everything, does all this, human rain delay, slows down the game.
Throw the freaking ball.
It is the worst person in the world to play behind. But you get behind a Greg Maddux, and by the way, if you come to trivia next week, I'm going to ask this question. Who's the only player who has 3,000 strikeouts, 300 wins, and less than 1,000 walks?
All right, one more time. I'm sorry, I was looking at Papa Gene.
3,000 strikeouts, 300 wins, and less than 1,000 walks.
Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan walked almost.
Easy, Junior.
Nolan Ryan walked almost. He has the most walks of any pitcher in history.
Really?
Yeah. So he has the most strikeouts of any pitcher in
Where are
history.
you going, Steve Carlton?
Closer.
Greg Maddux.
It is Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux. I'm sorry. Greg Maddux is quite possibly the best pitcher that ever pitched a baseball.
I can tell you this. He's the best pitcher to watch a game live because his games rarely went over 2 hours.
Gold Glove winner every year, too.
He caught the ball, and he could hit.
Yeah.
And he could hit. To me, Greg Maddux might be...
If you look at his numbers, it's phenomenal, his numbers.
Crazy.
Oh, he's
Crazy.
just, and the Cubs and the Braves.
He's probably number 2 as far as best defensive pitcher of all time.
Many gold gloves.
Jim Cott's number 1.
Okay. That's K-A-A-T for those of you scoring at home.
Yeah, Jim Cott.
Right.
K-A-A-T. But Greg Maddux, to me, was... If we had to pick a doctor of pitching, he was a doctor of pitching.
Yeah. I mean, the man was just... And the way he would approach a batter in a game, I mean, he was... he wasn't a Drysdale. He wasn't a Gibson. He wasn't throwing at you. He wasn't a headhunter. He wasn't pushing you back out of the box. But the man's control was so amazing.
Well, the thing about Greg Maddux is, and I've faced guys like this, where like you can never hit a ball square on him.
Right.
There's a couple guys that I've faced, and usually it was lefty. I hit left-handed, and usually it was a lefty. And my guy, who I can never hit square, was he was a quarterback for the Florida Gators. He went on to play. He played baseball for the Florida Gators, and he made it up to the big leagues with the Cardinals. And his name's Rodney Brewer. So Rodney Brewer, and you guys can look him up in the 80s, and he was a quarterback for the Gators then. But Rodney Brewer grew up in Apopka. We played junior baseball against each other in All-Stars. We played Babe Ruth baseball, which is like 13 to 15-year-old. And then we played high school, and then we played college ball against each other. I don't think I ever hit a ball square against Rodney Brewer. And he's the only man ever to strike me out twice in the same game. That was the only time I ever struck out twice in the same game was against Rodney Brewer. But I can never hit him. I don't think I ever hit him. I got a couple hits off of him, but I got jammed and it landed. It was a Texas leaguer or something like that. I bunted against him, which he would drill me the next time.
Well, you got to do what you got to do to get on base. But
and normally when we face Rodney Brewer, I bunted a lot, so the guy behind me got hit a lot.
He must have loved that.
Oh yeah, and he's one of my best friends, and Blake knows who I'm talking about. He probably got hit more than me than anyone else because of what I did.
Ron Hunt
to tick off the pitcher. Sorry, Eddie, if you're watching. I don't know if Eddie's out there.
And Bobby, part of my job here is to make Blake happy and keep him laughing. So that's number one. And Barbara Jean, long suffering. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So yeah, she was talking about the
Mets. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how old were you when the amazing Mets won?
69. I was 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was like your highlight
that was
of your
great.
baseball life.
Absolutely. And I went to the '86 World Series. I went to the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I was at the game that Ron Darling pitched in the '86 World Series.
Were you at the game there where it went through the legs?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Was
No.
that in Boston?
No, that was in Shea.
I
No,
thought
that
it
was
was
in
in Shea
Shea.
Stadium.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
absolutely in Shea. Run, Mookie, run. That's all we got to say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a better name, Chili Davis or Mookie Wilson?
I'll go with Mookie Wilson.
You know
But-
why Chili Davis is called Chili Davis?
Haircut.
Yeah.
Chili bowl on his
Put a
head.
chili
and
bowl on
Mom
his head.
snipped around it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chili bowl. Yep, for sure.
So, but was that the highlight of your sport? Because you're also a Giants fan, right?
No. I was always a Raiders fan.
A Raiders fan.
Right up
you
until
had
the
some highlights.
Right up until absolutely. I was a Raiders fan my entire youth up until the day they hired John Gruden. And then I tore my Raiders jersey and covered my mirrors. I was in mourning. Oh man, little Chucky had no right on that franchise.
Wow.
Oh God, did he destroy them?
Okay.
Oh, so now I'm a Jaguars fan.
You're a Jags fan.
I'm a Jags fan. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So,
As much as I miss my Raiders,
but
I mean, I grew up with those Raiders
the
forever.
70 I enjoyed the 90s Reds team, but the 75 Cincinnati Reds team is when I was really getting into baseball. And that was
a tough team.
my pinnacle of sports right then.
And then-
The Dolphins were still good, but they had already won in 73 and 74 Super Bowl, even though it was 72, 73 season. But I was a baseball fan over football. I did have my Bob Greasy pajamas.
Right, sure.
And I had the Larry Zonka helmet. So, with the
One bar?
it was two,
Yeah.
but it had like a little U.
Oh, yeah,
in it.
right,
So
yeah.
it's completely not in vogue today. But the pinnacle of my sports life was in 75 when the Reds won the World Series against Louis Tiant. All right, back to doctors. All right, because I want to talk about these two doctors, and both these doctors happen to be black gentlemen when
Which is great.
white patients wouldn't go to black doctors. All right, and the first one I want to talk about is Daniel Hale Williams. Daniel Hale Williams. And Lenny, tell our people what Daniel Hale Williams was the very first doctor to do.
Well, he was one of the first. He was the first African American doctor who did a pericardial open heart surgery.
First successful one.
Correct. It was somebody came to him with a knife puncture wound, and he was able to suture up and do it right around the heart and the pericardium. But what's equally as interesting about this gentleman is then he created a medical school in Chicago. He opened a hospital in Chicago that was the first non-segregated hospital in Chicago, and ran that for years. And it was the first, I think it was Provident, if I'm not mistaken.
Provident
Hospital and
Not Providence.
training school.
It
No,
ended with
Provident.
No, it was Provident.
Provident.
It ended with the T.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was the first hospital owned and operated by African Americans. And it's still in Chicago. I think it's still in Chicago today because it's now the Provident Hospital of Cook County. So that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
But we have another prominent African American, a guy by the name of Charles Richard Drew.
Here's another guy that might be up there
For saving lives?
for saving lives.
I'm with you.
All right. And he's the first person that came up with the concept of creating a blood bank. And Charles Richard Drew, also a black doctor, during World War II, he basically created a blood bank.
Correct.
And saved thousands of soldiers with this.
Yeah.
But not only that, he also was a part of breaking out the platelets.
Yep. He was into not sterilization, but in documenting the where they were coming from and the quality of the blood, and protecting the blood as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I found amazing is people don't know their blood type.
Yeah.
Do you know your blood type?
Universal donor. You need it. I'm here.
You're
O positive, I believe.
You're O positive. I think
I'm O something.
I think O negative is, but I'm
could be.
I'm O positive.
Dad,
Yes.
what's mine?
I think you're O positive also, but I don't know yours 100%. But it's a very
geez.
high percentage that don't know their blood type.
Which is scary.
And I'm O positive.
Right.
But I think O
Is
negative.
that the universal donor?
No, I think O negative is
Then
actually.
maybe I'm O negative because I'm pretty sure I'm the universal donor.
I think O negative is the universal donor, but O positive is right there with it.
Yeah.
And during COVID, O positive did the best during COVID.
Oh, okay.
Or the recovery time,
Right.
blood
Yeah,
types,
there was.
and all
There
of
was
those
that. Right.
things,
Absolutely.
It did the best
You know,
during COVID.
My wife, who I love dearly, and her Golden Globes as well. I'm getting
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. Suck it up.
digging deeper, or getting out. Has read a couple of books, and there's actually diets that correspond to your blood type.
Mm-hmm.
There are foods that align to your blood type that are better for you and not better for you, depending on what type you blood have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting as well.
Yeah, but Charles Richard Drew, a name most people should know and no one
Absolutely.
knows.
And he was the person that started the Red Cross blood banks and
Yes.
the blood banks. And his first bloodmobile was a truck with refrigerators in it that
that's
had the
awesome.
blood. Yeah, absolutely.
awesome.
Okay, but I want to get into, and this is going to be wacky for some people. I want to get into one of them because we were talking a little about, where the schism in politics today and people and this and that. C. Edward Koop,
Oh, yeah.
Surgeon General under Ronald Reagan and H.W. Bush.
During the whole AIDS epidemic and just,
Yep.
yeah, he was.
But the guy was, first of all, the guy's a picture. I mean, he was a Surgeon General, and he's got these mutton chops and this beard,
Well,
and he's a wacky looking guy.
He looks like a guy that should be on like the Morton salt or the Morton fish.
or he
fish.
should be
The
hanging
Morton
out with
fish-
Captain Crunch.
The Morton fish sticks.
Yeah,
thing. That's
absolutely.
What he reminds me of, is that guy.
But the guy was great. Born in 1916, died in 2013, lived to be 96 years old. Good for him.
Well, a lot of these doctors live very long.
Yeah.
Even Hippocrates, who we have,
Yeah.
he lived into his 90s.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous back in that time.
Yep.
They said
Physician
actually-
healing cells.
They said he might have been over 100.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, there was because I actually had his range from 460 BC to 370 BC, which involves math. So that's 40 and it's 60
That's
and
90.
60 and 30. There's the 90
Yeah.
because they go backwards in the
Yeah.
BC part.
Yep.
Okay, but C. Edward Koop was Surgeon General under Ronald Reagan. Put him up. He got a 60 to 24 vote in the Senate. He became Surgeon General in 1981. But and the guy was he was a pediatric surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
He did surgery on co-joined twins. The guy was a great surgeon and did a whole bunch of groundbreaking stuff with children in surgery, which I found very fascinating.
Yeah.
But for what should not be, and please, it should never become a political position, though it's a political appointee. He went to Dartmouth for his undergrad and got a degree in zoology.
Okay.
Went to medical school at Cornell. Thank you very much.
Is that
It's in Ithaca. It's a beautiful place, upstate New York.
Ithaca?
Yeah,
Don't they have a minor league baseball team there in Ithaca?
I don't know that they do.
I think the White Sox might. Oh, no, it's Utica. My bad.
Yeah,
That's
Utica.
That's
Absolutely.
Utica.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Utica. Sorry.
And then he got another doctor of science from University of Pennsylvania. But it was interesting because
And that's not Penn State.
University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So
Ivy League.
not Penn State. So
Yeah.
2 Ivy League schools.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
3, Dartmouth. He had a trifecta.
Dartmouth.
Is in the Ivy League.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, go figure. But it was
I think I
interesting
could have got into Dartmouth.
because they wanted him to poo-poo abortions.
Mm-hmm.
And he personally was anti-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
However, and the quote is, it's not a public health issue, but it's a moral issue because he found that done properly, physicians performing abortions do not harm the mother. It's a positive thing in that instance. I'm not moralizing here. I'm just, but he said it's not a public health issue. It's a moral issue. And he would not come out against abortion. He did come out against tobacco and nicotine as an addictive drug, and he was against that. And then he also worked through most of the AIDS crisis as well.
Yep.
So, he was there through the majority of the AIDS crisis. If he was in from 82 to 89, that was the prevalence of AIDS in America, certainly in the homosexual community in Manhattan and Los Angeles,
which was
in
a
Provincetown.
lot of what we
most
talked
of the
about last
80s,
week.
exactly.
That's
Most
what
of
we
the
talked
80s,
about
for
last
sure.
week.
So I really, I am, always got a kick out of C. Everett Koop because he was just, fun to look at. But I now
He looked like a character all in his
absolutely,
own. Yeah.
absolutely. But I can admire the man because he took his profession and what we were just talking about, the greater good and not the political position.
Yeah.
He didn't take the political position. He took the educated, scientific, fact-based positions on things that he did not bring his personal opinion in.
He took his oath as a doctor seriously.
Correct.
What's the name of that oath?
The Hippocratic Oath, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
Do no harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who did Hippocratic? Why is it called Hippocratic?
Hippocrates II.
Yes.
Of Kos, Kos.
Yes, of course.
The father of medicine, according to most people. Do you know his father was a doctor?
Yes, his father and his grandfather.
Ooh,
And
that's the family business.
Yeah, because Kos, there was two schools. Kos was more into diagnosis, and the other school, and I can't remember, it was in Greece, was the one that was responsible for healing.
Okay.
All right, but the problem is in that time you weren't allowed to do autopsies or dissect a body to solve more about if they were, because it was frowned upon.
Right.
So Hippocrates was more on the diagnosis side, and then you would go to the other portion to be on the solving side. And Hippocrates was one of the first ones that did both.
What was interesting I found about Hippocrates was the fact that he was, again, science-based. He decided, he determined, and he was also a philosopher, go figure.
Yeah.
He found that there were natural explanations and reason for disease. It wasn't that the gods were pissed off at you.
Yeah.
So he took it out of the realm of the religious, the spectral, the superstitious, and brought it into the real world.
He was pretty much the first one that used observational skills to be a doctor.
Yep.
All right. Because it's mentioned in the comments, very famous.
Joe Namath? Oh, sorry.
Well, not just Joe Namath. A famous doctor that took care of John Wilkes Booth.
Dr. Mudd.
Yes, your name is Mudd.
That's right. That's where it came from, for sure.
So Dr. Mudd was arrested and sentenced to, what's the little island off of...
Dry Tortugas?
The Tortugas.
Yeah, down off Key West. He went to the dry... nothing there but a prison.
He was sentenced there to the Dry Tortugas. Yellow fever broke out. Dr. Mudd basically saved hundreds of lives managing yellow fever, and that's how he got his release.
Commuted sentence?
Commuted sentence.
Good.
And he may or may not have known
Booth?
About John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
But most of the evidence is showing... I originally thought he didn't know.
He was a sympathizer.
But most of the evidence is showing that he did know who that person was. Because John Wilkes Booth was more famous than most people realize.
Right. Not as famous as his brother, which always put
his brother was the Kevin Costner of the time.
Right.
But
which pissed John Wilkes off a whole lot.
Well, and that's why he wanted to be the most famous man in the world. Right. That was part of the assassination of Lincoln, is because of the ego of John Wilkes Booth wanting to be the most famous man in the world.
See, to go off on a tangent, because we're allowed to.
That's what we do.
Booth had a diary, and they found his diary, and there were pages ripped out of it. Mm-hmm. And it's the Apple TV show Manhunt sort of intimated that Secretary of War Stanton was the one who ripped those pages out of the diary and kept them or burnt them. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting because it's intriguing to wonder what was in Booth's diary that didn't want to become public information or anything. Because who was that going to embroil in the conspiracy, or what was
somebody within the organization?
That was
one of the most interesting stories of that night, and people don't realize this, is how Seward survived.
Oh yeah.
So Seward, who was Secretary of State at the time, there was an assassination attempt on him and the Vice President, Johnson. The person on Johnson chickened out.
Right.
Seward's person actually did attack him. Seward was saved by a servant, but he was wearing a face guard where he had broken his jaw.
Yep.
that covered his neck and his jaw because he got run over by a horse carriage. He was in a carriage accident about 2 weeks earlier, barely survived that. And then he got stabbed in bed trying to heal from that. But as the attacker went to hit him, it hit the guard and just missed his carotid artery.
Yep.
So that's how Seward, and without him surviving, we wouldn't have Alaska.
Right, exactly. We'd have no Folly.
Yeah. So we wouldn't have Alaska. So to go full tangent on that. All right. The last person, and I know we're out of time, but I have to mention this person, is Virginia Apgar. Now,
Yes.
Apgar was an amazing physician. She created the Apgar scale, which any new parent understands. The Apgar scale. My man in there, Blake, to pick on him just a little bit.
Just a touch.
You do a 1 minute scale and a 5 minute scale on an Apgar scale, and it's 1 to 10. Blake's Apgar scale at 1 minute was a 3. All right, that's extremely low. The little bastard didn't breathe for like a minute. He was in timeout the first 5 years of his life.
He didn't smack his ass hard enough.
Well, and here I am trying to console his mom who can't hear him crying. And at 5 minutes, he was an 8. So, he was much better. He didn't have to go to an incubator or anything like that. But the scariest 1 minute of my entire life.
I have no frame of reference, but I can empathize.
But that little bastard was in timeout for that. He's going to be in timeout for the rest of his life for that 1 minute that he caused of my anxiety. Because I don't think I've ever been that conflicted and calm at the same time.
Do you think that might be why I have Asperger's?
I think the Asperger's actually comes more from genetically the way your mom and myself match up, because when you have one child with autism, the chances of the second child having autism is 300% higher. So there's a genetic base that comes along with it, and both Blake and his brother met all their goals, their target goals, up until 2 years old when we gave them the vaccinations.
Oh, really?
So I don't think the vaccinations is a cause.
Okay.
But I think it's just like being allergic to a bee. You don't know you're allergic to a bee until you get stung by a bee.
Well,
all right?
Yeah.
You understand my logic?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So he was already predisposed, and I think possibly that enhanced some of those things.
It, yeah.
And Blake, and we're very fortunate with you with your Asperger's, but you worked really hard to be where you're at today, and the fact that you can even Blake could read, and I'm sorry I'm giving out too much of your information, but Blake was reading Treasure Island at age 3.
You were telling me, yeah.
But he couldn't have a conversation with me.
Whew. Well, he can now, fortunately.
Oh, yeah.
That's all good.
Oh, boy, can he. So, but we're at the end. I know you wanted to say one more thing, but
no, I was just gonna throw in Elizabeth Blackwell, the first female doctor in the United States. She was born in England, but she was the first woman to become a doctor in the U.S.
That's awesome.
And we need to, bring in another woman doctor here because, there's a lot of women in medicine. As a matter of fact, I know a couple of them well, and it's important. It's just, and. We need to reevaluate the entire medical system in the United States. Medical debt is drowning people. Insurance companies that are now owning hospitals are making decisions that are not medical decisions, they're financial decisions, and that's a huge problem in America today. Medical decisions need to be made by medical professionals, not by bean counters. And that is something that needs to be examined and fixed because, we're an aging population. We're living longer. We're getting diseases,
Well, and I can tell you this. The people without health insurance make everyday life and death decisions because they don't have health insurance.
Right.
And, the one thing I tell people is, there is no time limit on what you need to pay. If you go to the hospital, they will take care of you. You set up a plan. Even if you're paying $5 a week, you set up a plan. There is health care here, but the fear of debt that we have in our society, of that, a lot of people, and my grandfather was one of these people, that he didn't go to the doctor, which created his strokes, that created his death.
Becomes trickle down, yeah.
And it just, it's sad. I agree with you 100%. We should make it more available, and we should make it more openly not feared.
Correct.
I think healthcare is feared right now.
Right.
And not because of the healthcare itself, but because of the costs it's attributed to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a woman, I know her over time, but there's a woman, Sharon McMahon, who is America's history teacher. She has a wonderful Instagram account. She does a tremendous amount of things. The woman's brilliant. And she's got a group called Governerds, and they have diminished. I mean, they donate to, and this woman has eradicated millions and millions of dollars of medical debt for people by donations from the people that follow her.
Yes.
And that's
beautiful.
Brilliant thing. It really is.
All right, that's the end of our show. We got to say goodbye, and we appreciate you guys so much. Please hit that share button.
Support our
Support our
sponsors.
sponsors. They're wonderful people. We appreciate you guys being with us. This is Bollox Talks and Tangents, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.